Hello. Welcome back to The Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad. And I guess we can welcome in a new NFL season. Finally, the world has come back to camp. I don't know if it is Hard Knocks that welcomes us in. I don't know if it is ridiculous, silly headlines like, check out this throw quarterback A made to give hope to this new team. But we know it's back. We know the feeling. We're finally excited for a sporting event over the summer outside of the World Cup, something in American sports. Because right now, we didn't have a lot going on with basketball, Maybe some guy named LeBron was getting moved, but we didn't have a lot going on in baseball. I don't know. Maybe some guy named Scooble got moved. But outside of those things, we've already talked about the LeBron stuff. The Scooble stuff, overblown, but we'll probably bring up towards today's end of the show. Where we're going to start is we're going to start with some of the playoff teams from last year in the NFL. We're going to start with more overblown headlines in the NFL, like Cousins versus Max Crosby in a scuffle because Max Crosby hit his throwing arm twice. And maybe Max Crosby might have some ulterior motives there with rookie Fernando Mendoza now in town, now with the hope that comes along with a rookie quarterback. And again, he's one of those quarterback A's that is making that throw that just gets you set off. But for now, let's start with a team that too many people care about, and they shouldn't, every single year. The Denver Broncos. Sean Payton probably only has a Super Bowl because he did an onside kick against Peyton Manning's Colts. That's it. Every other year, and congratulations to Drew Brees for making the Hall of Fame, by the way, but every other year, the Saints overperformed or performed fantastically in the regular season. And then the playoffs start and they get eliminated by teams they should beat. Every year on paper, the Saints were a team that looked like they should take out all competitors and they should go to the Super Bowl. If anything, Sean Payton is one of the most underwhelming, underachieving head coaches of all time. Now, a lot of people would say, well, I'll take these playoffs every single time. I want to go to the playoffs every single time. But he had Drew Brees, prime. Jimmy Graham, prime. Horn, prime. Marquise, prime. He had Kamara, prime. Ingram, prime. He had all these phenomenal players, and he couldn't get it done ever. Multiple times, his team was the best team in the NFC, and he couldn't get it done. In fact, they didn't even make it to another Super Bowl. Now, in a city as thirsty for a Super Bowl, deserving, by the way, as New Orleans, I mean, it's a king for life there. He's forever set. But we need to stop overblowing what he was able to do. Like he had one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. He had such amazing weapons around this quarterback for a large period of time. And now we're seeing some things with the Denver Broncos. Let me tell you something about the Denver Broncos outside of the Peyton Manning year. Yeah, because the other year he didn't do well, did he? He got replaced with Brock Osweiler. But we don't talk about Brock. When it comes to the Denver Broncos, every single year, they are I don't know how it's overshadowed, one of the loudest fan bases, one of the most annoying fan bases, one of the most covered teams that doesn't ever matter. They never factor in. You're going to hit me with Jared Stidham from last year. But I got news for you. The Broncos were never going to make it to the Super Bowl. They just weren't. All right? The team wasn't that great. They had a great defense, but they didn't really play anybody. They had to play the Raiders twice. So there you go. Okay? Patrick Mahomes hurt all year. So that's what? 4 matchups, 4 games out of 17. They play nobody offenses and they get an opportunity to look really good. And I'm sure if we dive into their schedule, they didn't play a whole lot of good teams. When it comes to the Denver Broncos, they are a team that for some reason the news loves to get behind. And every year, they're the team everybody's sleeping on. You can't be sleeping on a team that is consistently in the worldwide, international, national conversation to be the best team that no one's talking about every single damn year. It is one of the most annoying things that happens. Well, they're a team no one's sleeping on them ever. They're never being slept on because every single year, somehow, some way, they're America's forgotten team. Nobody knows how good. Everybody knows, and everybody knows they're mediocre. Okay, they're a team. We got to talk about something. I get it. It's summer, but they're a team that never gets anything done. Okay, they need Peyton Manning and they need John Elway. And go ahead and look at the beginning of John Elway's career as he hoisted that shitty team on his back and drugged them to Super Bowls. John Elway is literally one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So this is not Broncos hate from a Raiders fan. This is just some honesty. If you really believe in Bo Nix, go right ahead. You strap your dreams, your hopes to that quarterback. But in reality, what we're seeing is he wasn't any good at Auburn. Oh, he was young. No, he went to Oregon, had a better system and better athletes. All right? We didn't see anything from him in the NFL outside of Sean Payton's scheme. He doesn't do anything that really astounds you ever. So what are we doing with this team consistently vaulting them into the national spotlight without reason? The defense, sure, will allow it. Put the defense in the national conversation for the best defense, but the team itself has no shot at a Super Bowl. And I'm on record now. Okay, let's see what happens come January. They might make the playoffs, but if they do, that's it. That's as far as they're going to go. Okay, they're in a conference with a hungry Patrick Mahomes, and we'll see what he can do coming back off of that terrible injury. But it's still one of the most decorated teams in the Kansas City Chiefs over this last decade, and having a quarterback that has some of the most arm talent that we've ever seen. And then we have the Chargers, who had a good season last year. I think by most accounts they underachieved with a good head coach, a great quarterback who everybody's on top of to prove himself this year. And I think he will. I think what you're doing is you're awakening a sleeping dragon in Justin Herbert. And now he's got some weapons to do quite a bit with. And I wish this wasn't happening, but I do think that the Chargers are going to win the AFC West this year. I do think the Chiefs are going to rebound off of last season. Andy Reid doesn't produce multiple losing seasons in a row. That's just not something Andy Reid does. And a lot of people are forgetting they signed the Super Bowl MVP. So again, all this noise about the Denver Broncos is much ado about nothing. They're going to come out and do exactly what they do every single year. Be a mediocre team, go, 11-6, maybe 10-7, and do absolutely nothing in the playoffs. But everybody's going to be on their jock for whatever reason. Their fans are going to get hyper annoying, and they're not going to do anything again. Why? Because their quarterbacks' names aren't Peyton Manning or John Elway. The other team, let's talk about a team that literally hasn't done anything in this century, yet you guys love to hear us talk about them. You love the Dallas Cowboys, and you love the Dallas Cowboys, what you refer to as slander, and I honestly, it's referred to as truth. Because what do the Dallas Cowboys do besides lose their division every single year, not make the playoffs? When they do make the playoffs, lose immediately and get on an airplane right back to Dallas, Texas. What do they do outside of that? They haven't been to a Super Bowl since the 90s. So what do they do outside of that? What reason do you have to believe in the Dallas Cowboys outside of the uniform, outside of the laundry? I want to know. They a couple years ago, they had one of the best defenses in the NFL. Nothing. This year, everybody's bragging about the weapons they have on offense. All right, what did they do last year? Nothing. And we're forgetting that Pickens has the ability to implode this team at any point in time. It could happen. Any point in time. CeeDee Lamb will get tired of not getting the ball thrown to him. Dak Prescott will short circuit. This team will implode and not do anything. It's going to happen just like it happens every single year since the mid-90s. This team will and has achieved nothing. And they're not going to start now. Okay, they're in a tough division with a team that won the Super Bowl over the last couple years. All right, they're due for a bounce back. They're in a position now where they can use a lot of bulletin board material. And with that, the Eagles are better. They're the better team. It may not feel like it right now because they got rid of AJ, but they're the better team. The Eagles are just a really solid football team who has the bona fides to back it up. They've actually done something in the playoffs. They've actually won a Super Bowl, 2, since the Cowboys have been to the Super Bowl. Okay? And here we are still saying that the Dallas Cowboys are going to do something in this division. Let's talk about the Commanders. Underwhelming last year, but why were the Commanders underwhelming? Let's discuss that, because I'm sure it had a lot to do with rookie quarterback in his sophomore year getting injured, rookie of the year quarterback in his sophomore year getting injured, and not being able to be out there with that offense. That's going to have a lot to do with how your team runs, especially when you have an offense completely built around that player. That offense in his second year was built around him. That means as he goes, so goes the team. And if he goes out, the team goes out. So we're forgetting how good they were, that they made it to an NFC championship his rookie year. This guy is a gamer. He will be back. And they've signed a wide receiver who a lot of people are saying the corpse of Stephon Diggs, but you forget, I think he had a 1,000-yard season with Drake May last year. Drake May, same draft class as Jaden Daniels. Okay? Jaden Daniels, better first year than Drake May. Drake May, obviously, in the Super Bowl his second year. Better second year than Jaden Daniels. The best ability he has is he was available. And Jaden Daniels was not. So when we're looking at the Dallas Cowboys, now let's talk about the Giants. A lot of people are trying to say the Giants are a sleeper team. Here's the problem with that. What did I just say about Jaden Daniels and the Commanders? Can't stay healthy. Jackson Dart is not a quarterback that we can rely on to stay healthy. Malik Neighbors is coming off a bad injury for wide receivers. Scattaboo appears to be a dumb person, as Scattaboo has a surgically repaired knee and he's doing backflips falling on his face. Do we really want to put faith in this Giants team with a new head coach to do anything? Is that what we want to do? Or are we going to be serious here and talk about how this team is probably not going to win more than 7 games this year? That division is really tough. We talked about the Commanders. We talked about the Eagles. And right now, we're talking about how the Cowboys underachieve. The Cowboys have a really good shot at ending up 3rd in that division. So why are we always talking about a team that doesn't do anything? Why? Because you guys like to listen about how your team is going to do something. You love to hear about it, and then you love to be up in arms when we're talking about how terrible they are and how we have no expectations for them as we hit the midpoint in the season. All right, the Dallas Cowboys are going to be fighting with the New York Giants for 3rd place in their division. That's crazy because there's a lot of hype around them. And I'm sure they'll be exciting. I mean, how can they not be with that offense? But what do you really expect them to do? I think too much is being made about this Dallas Cowboys team. Again, and I need to remind everybody, they haven't done anything in this century. Not a single thing. We're 26 years in, baby. They haven't done a single thing, and you can't shut up about a team that all they do is the opposite of T-Pain, lose, lose, lose no matter what. There is not, I don't know how you can look at a quarterback like Dak and say, that guy's going to get it done. He's had plenty of opportunities to get it done and hasn't. What are you basing this judgment on? Seriously, what are you basing this judgment on? All right? He is going to put up numbers, but so did Blake Bortles. Remember that? Blake Bortles, fantasy quarterback extreme, because that guy put up numbers. You know why? Because they were always losing. They needed him to put up numbers. You know why Dak Prescott puts up numbers? Because this team has surrounded a quarterback that is a mid-tier quarterback with some phenomenal weapons. Same thing with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. Osborne, Diggs, Thielen, Justin. All right? So if you got JJ, Thielen, Diggs, Osborne, and you don't do anything, then you're really bad. All right? A mediocre quarterback will be able to do something with those weapons, and that's what you're going to see out of Dak. That's what you have seen out of Dak, and nothing more. Nothing more. I do think also, I don't know why people are not taking the Seahawks seriously, and that trips me out. Because the Seahawks, yes, they won the Super Bowl, and yes, they lost their Super Bowl MVP. But this team still has Jackson Smith and Jigba. It still has Cooper Kupp. It still has Sam Darnold, who quietly has been one of the best, I think he's a top 3 winning percentage quarterback in the NFL over the last 2 seasons. They've got one of the better defenses. They've got a great mind at head coach, and we're sleeping on them. And it doesn't make any sense to me as the 49ers coach can't figure out what the hell happened as he goes into his car accident. Everybody's just trying to figure out, well, I'm glad he's okay, but everybody's just trying to figure out what happened here. What was this, a cover up? And then you got the Los Angeles Rams who are loaded for bear, right? Loaded for bear, but they can't keep Puka Nacua out of rehab. And I'm glad he's getting the help he needs, but they don't necessarily have a running back to rely on. The defense looks terrifying. I will say that defense looks absolutely terrifying. We'll see if Matthew Stafford can stay healthy, but all they did was lose to Seattle last year. That's it. That was the one team they couldn't beat. The Rams had every shot at winning the Super Bowl last year, and now they're loaded for bear, but they couldn't beat Seattle. So what makes us think they're going to beat Seattle this year? Maybe the addition of Myles Garrett, maybe Aaron Donald making a comeback. But outside of that, we have a sample size of 3 games last year, and what they did was they lost every single time. So we need to stop sleeping on the Seahawks team and give them a chance to defend their title before we decide they were a one-off champion. I don't think that's fair to say. Speaking of one-off champions, we've got so much being made about a Miami Heat team that has nothing to offer besides Bam Adebayo and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Can we please stop? Can we please stop? They haven't done anything since LeBron. All right, they didn't do anything since the bubble. They want to keep falling back on this culture thing, but at what point are we like, okay, guys, all right, you're a really good team, one of the best teams in the NBA, and you got 2 of the better players in the NBA, but you don't have anyone around them. And last I checked, this is still a team game. So maybe let's press the pause button and not say this team is going to compete for a championship over the next 5 years. We have no idea, no way of knowing that at all. So nobody really knows that. Scooble was traded for by the Dodgers, and the Dodgers put forth a nice little package. And I looked at it and I smirked right when it came across the airwaves. I just smirked because of course, who else was going to get him? Who else was going to get Schoolboy? It always was the Dodgers. Why? He's a Scott Boras client. This is a rental. How much are you willing to give up from your future for a championship today? Or a shot, not even a guaranteed, a shot at a championship today? Well, the teams that are going to be most in that race are going to be the teams that have nothing to lose. It doesn't matter. Right? Money is no object for the Los Angeles Dodgers, so they have a shot at signing Scooble. Boras is always going to ask for more, so he knows that the Dodgers give him the best chance at getting the biggest contract after this season is over. I think that people in baseball, people watching baseball, need to understand that we're about to have a lockout. And we're about to have a lockout because the owners want to institute a salary cap. And they're going to utilize this as a platform to say the game isn't fair right now. We need a salary cap. And the truth is, if you're listening to that, you're just silly and you're being manipulated and hypnotized by billionaires again. Is the game unfair right now? Maybe it is. But the Dodgers have the hand right now. They have the winning hand. And there's not much you're going to be able to do about it except for hope they lose. And that's one of the funnest things we do in sports is watch something and hope for it to lose. In this trade, anyone could have made it. Anyone could have made this trade, but there were too many teams not willing to leverage their future to give up everything they needed to get Scooble. Does it guarantee a win? No, it does not guarantee a win. It doesn't guarantee a championship. Why? Because Scooble went out there and lost his debut for the Dodgers. Lost. The Dodgers, at the moment of this recording, have lost 7 games in a row. 7 games in a row. And you're all so worried that they're going to win a championship. Now, all this is a guaranteed path to the playoffs. And in any sport, baseball included, anything can happen in the playoffs. 2003, the Marlins beat the New York Yankees. And this is when the New York Yankees were the Dodgers, when they were buying everyone. and they had a stacked team, and everyone was scared the Yankees were going to run baseball again, and they haven't, and they didn't. Okay? They haven't, and they didn't. Sports has a funny way of balancing out. Athletes, competitors are never going to lay down their shield and just get slaughtered. It's just not going to happen. They're going to go out there and compete, even if competing is futile. They will do it. And baseball is no different. So we shouldn't be so worried. Skubal can only pitch so often in the playoffs. All right? This was really the Dodgers getting him, one, because they have the ability to sign him at the end of this year, and two, to keep anyone else from picking him up. That's all this was. So let's stop freaking out about the Skubal trade, and let's let this play out, because in all honesty, this big, huge skid, the big, huge winning streak by the Marlins at the beginning of the season, all we're seeing is baseball isn't played until the playoffs. It's just not. Anything can happen. So as we're watching simply to see who's going to give us a good product come playoffs. Thank you so much for tuning in each and every week, and we will see you next time.